In today's episode of Locked On Pistons podcast, we are joined by Jeremie Hart, trainer of Daniss Jenkins and assistant coach over at SMU, to talk about Daniss Jenkins' offseason and how he looked in the first preseason game. Today's episode of Locked On Pistons podcast. Let's go.
You are Locked On Pistons, your daily Detroit Pistons podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's the deal? Welcome back to another episode of the Locked On Pistons podcast. Per usual, I am your host, Kook Hill. I've been covering the Detroit Pistons for the last 4 years with the Locked On Network. I've been a credential media member over the last 3 years, and I appreciate all of you guys who make Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons, hit that subscribe button, or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to us on. That's another great way to support the podcast. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Head to FanDuel.com to get started today. You'll hear a little bit more about FanDuel as we move on through the podcast. But today we have a fun guest. We have Jeremie Hart, assistant coach over at SMU. He's also the trainer for Daniss Jenkins, who had a really good preseason game one. Looked really good in the offseason and summer league. We're going to talk about how he spent his offseason, what he worked on, and how Jeremie thought he played in the first game. And then we'll get his thoughts overall on the Detroit Pistons season. Jeremie, how are you doing, man? Appreciate you coming on.
Oh, man, I appreciate you having me. And appreciate you letting me get on your platform and bless your platform. So great to be here.
Appreciate you coming on, man. So let's go ahead and get into it. Let's start with the offseason. So obviously we just had preseason game one happen, and that's something everyone listening, we will get to that a little bit later. But I want to start with his offseason. So summer league comes around, and I thought he played Daniss Jenkins. I thought he played absolutely amazing in summer league. I thought he looked fantastic. I thought he looked much better even from last year. Every single time I saw him on the court in summer league, I was like, he just looks really good. He just looks like he's gotten so much better. He just looks so good. So I want to ask you, before we get to summer league, just what did you guys spend off season really working? What did he spend his off season really working on specifically heading into this year?
Going into summer league, we spent about 2 weeks together to where we got up at 6 a.m. We got up at 6 a.m. to do strength and conditioning, left strength and conditioning, and got on the court right after. We tried to focus most this summer on playing off the ball, being able to catch and shoot, being able to make plays from a point guard position, but just off the ball where he's not initiating the ball or whatnot. He's a natural point guard. He has a natural feel, but I wanted to stress to him, we needed to work on playing off that ball so he's able to show that he could play alongside Cade, alongside Tobias and Jaden and those guys, and show that that he can make shots without having the ball in his hands as well. So that was a big emphasis for us this summer.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, I'm assuming that had a lot to do with the fact that he's on the Pistons, where they have Cade and they have a Jaden Ivey and they have all these guys trying to work with the ball in their hands. It seems like you mentioned, that you guys spend a lot of time trying to figure out ways to maybe improve the off-ball game to play next to these guys. So in the summer league, you see him. He got to play with Ron Holland, who had the ball in his hands quite a bit, but I thought Jenkins had the ball in his hands quite a bit as well in summer league. I thought Jenkins looked absolutely fantastic. What was your biggest takeaways from how he looked at summer league and what he did so well?
I thought in summer league, he was fantastic. I thought that he, distributed the ball really well. I thought that he ran the team. He showed that, he could be that backup point guard for the Pistons. I thought he played with fire and intensity, and his energy was great. His leadership was great, and he was comfortable. Being that he played in the summer league his rookie year, going back, he kind of had a chip on his shoulder like always, and he wanted to show that he can, lead a team. And I thought he did a fantastic job of doing that at summer league.
So I wanted to ask you, how long have you been working with Jenkins?
So I started with Dennis his senior year of high school. I actually met him. I was getting into my training career. I was finishing playing overseas. I was working with a couple guys, and I went to a fall league game out here in Dallas, and saw him playing. And I thought to myself, like, man, the kid is talented. I wonder if he works with anyone. and I went and talked to him, and he told me that he played a lot of pickup and play at the park and at the rec center and stuff like that. But he didn't work with anyone, and so I told him like, hey, no, I love to work with you if you give me an opportunity. I think I can help you. And that's kind of how we got started. So we've been working together for the past 5 years. Been a lot of ups and downs, but to be at this point where he is truly amazing, and a blessing to see all his hard work paying off.
I was just about to ask you as well, like, how do you feel like his journey has helped him grow as a person, as a player, and develop? Like, he wasn't a top lottery draft pick. He wasn't this superstar coming out of the draft, but he's worked himself into a spot where he's getting a lot of respect from a lot of people watching, a lot of the fans, a lot of his teammates, and he's worked himself into an NBA roster. Went to a smaller college. So, like, how do you feel like the journey that he's went through has really helped him develop? Do you feel like first of all, I guess I should say, do you feel like it has helped him as a player get to where he is now? And like you mentioned, does he still carry that chip on his shoulder, and does that help carry him every single day?
Yeah, for sure. I tell people all the time who ask me that question. You know, me and Dennis connected because uh, we have similar stories. From a basketball standpoint, I'm nowhere near the talent that he is, but I wasn't a high recruit out of high school. I had to work my way up through JUCO and college and become a professional player, and that's literally what he's done. And when me and him met, I could see that we shared that competitiveness and that chip on our shoulder. And that was something that drew me to him and wanted me to work with him. I seen that he was extremely more talented than I was, and so that excited me. I felt like I could help him develop and turn into a good player. Did I know he would become an NBA player? No, I didn't. But when we got to a certain point, I think when he got to Iona, he left junior college. He was a junior college All American, and Rick Pitino signs him at Iona. I think that summer, I told myself, I said, "Man, this kid, he could probably end up being a pro, if he stay at it." And that's what we did. But the chip has always been on his shoulder. He's always felt, overlooked or not getting the recognition that he deserved, and so do I, as a player, and I do as a coach. So I want to show that I'm a good player development coach. I'm a good all around coach, and it was just a match made in heaven for us to get together. And again, I'm extremely grateful to him and his family for trusting in me with his development over the years. And look, it got us to the NBA, and we're not just satisfied here. We want more, and that's what we talk about being in the NBA and staying in the NBA.
So before we get to the preseason game, 'cause I really want to talk about how he looked in that game one. 'Cause I thought he looked even better in NBA action against the Grizzlies, who were still playing like their rotation guys. They weren't playing like it wasn't like just garbage time. Like, he was playing against legit NBA guys, and I thought he looked really good. So I really want to get to that. But before we wrap up here in his offseason, I guess my final question to you would be, what areas do you feel like going into the season, and then obviously going throughout his career, like you said, you guys feel like you're not finished, you still have a lot of places you want to go, a lot of levels you want to get to. What are some areas you feel like you're watching for, or Daniss is really trying to improve during this season, that you want to see play out this year, improve, or areas of his game that he really wants to make sure is it just the off-ball game, is it just the catch and shooting, or is there some other aspects that Daniss and yourself are really watching for him this year?
What one thing that we worked on this summer, another thing that we worked on, when he would come in the gym, and once we go through pre-court workout, and get stretched and all of that type of stuff, I would immediately put him in the corners or on the wings to shoot threes. And I would tell him like, we're doing this because obviously you're not gonna start for the Pistons. You're gonna come off the bench. So you got to come off the bench and be ready to go and be capable of making shots. You don't have time to get warm or get loose, and so I just wanted to put him in those type of environments in the summer, so when he gets his moment, that he's ready. A thing that I want to continue for him to continue to show is how much of a good defender he is. He's a really good defender, and he can be really disruptive to other point guards, and he can guard up and he can guard down. With his size, and he's gotten a lot stronger this summer as well. So I would love to see him just continue to show that defense and turning that defense and letting it fuel his offense, and also running the team, running that second unit and getting the opportunity to run that second unit for the Pistons.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and put a pin on the defensive side of the ball because there was actually a specific play I wanted to bring up to you and talk to you about from preseason game one. So when we come back, we'll talk about how Daniss looked in game one of the Detroit Pistons preseason, and we'll discuss how I feel like he really showcased how good he is and how much improved he has gotten on both ends of the floor. We'll talk about it coming up. Today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there is Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your phone or your laptop. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in minutes and see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever having to touch a spreadsheet. So don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONNBA. That's LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com to get 50% off your first year with Monarch Money. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We're free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. Let's get into the first game of preseason from the Detroit Pistons. They had a really fun game. I thought it was a lot of fun to watch it. They got the win. That's not really what matters in preseason. Win, loss, it doesn't really matter. You're just kind of like a scrimmage. You're practicing, just trying to get everything going for the season. But what you saw in this game from a lot of players, not just Daniss, but I thought we talked about this on the last episode. I thought the Pistons looked really good, especially in that second quarter. Dropped 50 points, forced 9 turnovers in that second quarter. It was just tremendous. But obviously, we're going to talk about Daniss, and you mentioned his defense. And I want to bring up this play to you that I saw from him in the first half, where I watched him on the weak side defensively. He was playing two offensive players on the weak side. The offensive team, I forget who it was, it might have been Ty Jerome, but they drove to the paint and went to make a kick out. He made a great rotation to pick off the pass and immediately outlet for an easy basket for the Detroit Pistons. And that kind of rotation he makes on the weak side was an eye-popping play because not every player is, one, paying attention long enough in the defensive possession to make rotations when you're not really guarding on ball or not directly involved in the action. And Daniss was paying attention the entire time. And then there's another possession in the second half where he had to do an X-out closeout on the weak side, and he really executed that really well. He just felt like he was very, very much paying attention to the detail throughout the entire game defensively. Did those plays, the plays I'm mentioning, did those pop off the screen? Did you see anything defensively you like from him that maybe I didn't bring up? But those are two plays that jumped to me that I was like, okay, that was some really good reps from Daniss on defense.
Yeah, hey, you have a really good basketball IQ because those are two plays that stuck
Appreciate
out to me as well. They stuck out to me as well. The steal was
I played
actually
basketball my whole life, but I'm not good at you like you guys. I got cursed with height and short arms. I can go hoop on the pickup, but I'm too small to make it anywhere. You feel me? So
man, it's all good. But the steal happened. He had just checked in the game when that steal happened, that first steal happened. So I would definitely remember that play. Just a tremendous defensive play in rotation. I thought defensively something that stood out is how he kept the ball in front and put ball pressure, guarding those guards, picking them up full court, whether it was Pippen Jr. or Todd Jerome, just causing them, to be disruptive and get into the shot clock before they can, get into the offense.
So offensively, I almost asked about this in the first segment, but I wanted to make sure I saved it for here. I didn't want to spoil this segment. One of the things about Daniss that I've liked almost every single time, I tweeted this out multiple times yesterday. Like, I feel like my nickname for him is just going to be Just Good Jenkins, because anytime you watch him, like even when he doesn't put up like crazy stat lines, or if he just has, I believe he had an efficient night yesterday too anyways, but like it doesn't have to have an eye-popping stat line. Just when you watch him play, like all I can say watching him is just like he's just a good basketball player. Like he plays the right way. He knows how to play the game. I really like the feel that he has. He doesn't ever feel like he's sped up. He makes the right passes, whether it's a cross-court skip pass or if it's a dump off. He makes the right pass. He makes the right read consistently. And I feel like he's really gotten nifty with his footwork on some drives. He had a really nice Euro step in transition this past game and just completely lost the defenders. What I wanted to ask you about him, based off what I saw, obviously in the summer, but also this preseason game, has he always had, at least to me, like this high feel for the game? Because for people who listen to the podcast, they know that my favorite type of players are these high processing, high feel guys who are able to read defenses, see things happening, and know the right play to make before it even is presented to itself. I really love these high feel players. And Daniss really showcases how quick, whether it's an extra pass, not holding on to the ball and just getting it out to the guy next to him to keep the ball moving, or if it's making a quick decision and attacking a closeout and then dumping off, or it just seems like at all times he just knows how to play. Is that something that he's always had, or is that something that he's had to develop over time?
Man, that is a great question. That I would say he's had that for a long time. When I first seen this kid, he was doing stuff on the court where I was thinking the same thing, like, man, I don't know how he saw that or how he did that. But he was a little skinny little kid back here in Dallas. And when we first started talking about his basketball journey, the reason why he has that great feel that he has partially is because he grew up playing. Like he's in this generation, but that kid grew up playing pickup, playing in the recs, playing in the parks. And that's what basketball is you get your instincts from playing games. That's why you have these talks about kids these days, they don't play enough, they always training, and a lot of them don't have that feel. Well, he is one of them that played a lot, so he has that feel. Now when we met, and I love the credit people like to give me for him, but man, I just been a guy for this guy. And when we met, all I've done is try to heighten his senses, and put him in situations and workouts to where we can heighten that feel that he has. But that's a credit to him, man. That comes from him playing as a kid and developing great instincts as a player. And like I said, all I've done was try to be a guide to him, as he's gotten older, and played against different competition.
So he only played in this first preseason game. He played 15 minutes, but in those 15 minutes, he had 7 points and 6 assists to just 1 turnover. And like I mentioned earlier, the 6 assists to just 1 turnover is what really jumped to me while I was watching. Just doesn't feel like he ever really makes any mistakes, whether it's on ball playmaking or, like I said, off ball playmaking, where he's making the extra pass or he's attacking a closeout and then making a read off of that. I feel like the NBA, we've talked about this a lot on the podcast, that the NBA is transitioning to a point where, and you saw this with Indiana, you see this with OKC, you see this with a lot of the teams, the contending teams, where you need multiple guys on the floor, almost all of the guys on the floor, to be able to attack a gap, attack a closeout, and then make a read off of it. If you're not able to do that, it's hard to get onto the floor now in 2025. And I feel like Daniss does such a tremendous job, like you mentioned, that you guys worked on this off-ball stuff and all off-season. And it feels like watching just do one preseason game, it already has paid off at least somewhat, because he looks like a really good off-ball playmaker, making reads off that. But like you mentioned, he's a natural point guard, and he was making reads off pick and rolls and getting Tolu Smith involved. Like, I thought that he just looked so good overall everywhere offensively, to where, like I said, I just come away saying that this is just an NBA basketball player. I don't know where he ends up. I don't know how much farther he ends up going. I hope he goes as far as possible. All I know is this dude is an NBA basketball player. This dude deserves to be in the NBA for a long time. He is a really good basketball player. So I guess we'll wrap it up with this in this segment. What are some of the biggest takeaways you had offensively from him? Is there anything else that I didn't mention that you watched and were like, I really like that from him, or this was really good, I like this play from him? Was there anything that stuck out to you offensively from him?
Yeah, I think you hit it right on the head. I would just say he made, the passes that he made, the assists that he made was some really good plays. I thought that he pushed the issue and pushed the tempo, took what the defense gave him, and he made some really good passes. Got I think Paul a finish in the paint. He got Tolu a couple nice buckets around the basket. So I thought he played a really good 15 minutes. About the best of 15 minutes you can play in the NBA game, and I thought he was ready for his moment. So I was super proud of that.
Yeah, and like I mentioned, I think another part of it that makes it even more like impressive is that usually in preseason games you don't see every team playing like everybody, all their main guys or whatever. But Memphis was playing their guys. They were playing KCP, Ty Jerome, Santi Aldama. Like these guys were playing in the minutes in the fourth quarter where Daniss was getting his time, and he
Mhm.
continued to look just as good against these guys. So it wasn't like it's just at the end of preseason, last 3 minutes, whatever you're going. No, this was like legit comp he was going against, and he looked really impressive. So I really liked what I saw from Daniss. I hope he gets an opportunity, continues to get an opportunity, because, like I said, I just feel like he's an NBA player and needs to get a chance. So, but coming up, I want to get Jeremie's thoughts on just the Pistons overall heading into this season, what his thoughts are on this team going into a season coming off of such a successful season that now has expectations. We'll get his thoughts coming up.
Yes, sir.
Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right, pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love how FanDuel gives me so many ways to play. I've built parlays, tried player props, and even followed the live lines during games. It makes watching football even more exciting when you've got a little something riding on the action. Whether you're a casual fan or love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Again, if you place a $5 bet and it hits, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Again, visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started with FanDuel. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We're free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to us on. That's another great way to support the podcast. Real quickly, before we get into the segment, I know I told you guys in the last episode we would have a film breakdown over at the SUBSTACK. Turns out nowhere is keeping clips of preseason games. I've went and looked at all my favorite sites that track clips, and I can't find any clips for preseason games. So I don't know if we're going to be able to do film breakdowns during the preseason. We definitely will have them after every single game for the regular season, but I don't know if we're going to be able to do it during preseason. I apologize for that. I'll find some other stuff to do for you guys, though, during the preseason over at the SUBSTACK. So just stay tuned for that. And also, if you want to watch the game live with us over at Playback, I'll link it down below this Thursday for the Pistons' second preseason game. But, Jeremie, let's go ahead and get into just your thoughts on the Pistons. I see you're wearing the Detroit Pistons basketball shirt. What's your feelings on this team heading into this year? There's a lot of expectations. It seems like there's a lot of excitement. Just where are you at with this team?
Man, I think this team can be really good. I think this team is a fun team to watch. I think they got some good talent. Obviously they lost some guys from last year, but they got some key guys back, obviously around Cade and this year. And I think, I make a bold prediction and think that the Pistons can finish top four in the East.
Top four in the East. Fair enough. Fair enough. So who do you have in the top four? Where would you have what four teams are you looking at in the East there?
I would say Cleveland, Orlando. I think I'll put Orlando in there. Uh, mm, Pistons and
New York.
New York. Yeah, I'm sorry, New York. Yep.
Fair enough.
Those,
I was
those,
I
are-
was
those would
feeling
be the four.
I was feeling top 4 seed with the Pistons fighting for Orlando. I really do like what Orlando's done over in their side with the
Yeah, I do
offseason they
too. I
did.
think I think Orlando is talented, but I also think they have to come together too, adding Bain
Right.
and those guys. So the Pistons, they have some guys that's been together, so I think their progression can be a little further along.
What do you
And
think?
I think Cade takes another jump this year as well, and I think he's one of the best players in the NBA. So I think he's a little bit better than Paulo.
So I was just about to say, what are you thinking about expectations wise for Cade this year? He had such a great year this past year. I'm so high on Cade. I think he's going to be absolutely phenomenal for years to come. Just what you mentioned that you think there's even another step that he can get to this year. What are you thinking there? You thinking? Are we thinking first team All NBA? What you thinking?
Man, I don't think that's far fetched. Like I don't think that's far fetched. I think he takes another jump because if you look at just the other day, I know it's preseason, but man, you can see how much stronger he's gotten.
Yep.
How his body looks. His jump shot looks cleaner. Shoot, man, I think it's scary hours. To be honest, I think Cade. The sky's the limit for Cade.
How fast do you think this team's going to play this year? Like, do you like we saw a little bit in this preseason game
Mhm.
with Asar, with Ron, with
Mhm.
even Stu running the floor with Jay and Ivy. Like, I don't know if there's. Do you think there's going to be a team maybe that plays as fast as the Pistons try to play this year?
Man, I think the Pistons can play really fast. Obviously, I think that Dennis can be that backup point guard, and with him being that backup point guard, he can play really fast and push the tempo. And then with that first group, Jaden Ivey is really fast as well. So I think that group can be fast, and they can shoot a lot of threes and make a lot of threes with the guys that they got, on the wing. So. I mean, I didn't even mention uh, the twin. He's so fast as well, Thompson. And so they can be really really fast. They can be really really fast. Let's say that.
What do you think about the Pistons' young core outside of Cade with Asar, like you mentioned, Jay and Ivy, Ron Holland? What do you think about these players? You think these guys are ready to take another step in their development, take another step into like the next tier in the NBA?
I do. I do. I think they got the right guys. I think those young guys are about the right stuff. I think they love the game, and they're ready to take another jump. So I'm excited to see how it progress over the season. But I definitely think that young group outside of him will take another jump.
So
I mean,
I'll wrap it up.
Jaden Ivey was averaging, having the best career, best, playing the best of his career so far before he got injured. So, I mean, I think they're ready to take another jump.
For sure. And we can wrap it up with this. I want to ask you this question.
Mhm.
What player on the Pistons are you do you what player on the Pistons are you most looking forward to seeing Daniss play next to? Is there a player you feel like he really has like this great chemistry with that you think like is there a player on the Pistons you feel like he really fits with on the floor? Or is it just really anybody?
Yeah, I mean, obviously he plays really well with Tolu because they play a lot with Motor City.
Right.
So he played really well with Tolu. But no, I'm looking forward to just seeing him crack the rotation and play with all of those guys. He's such a humble kid and just a great young man, and he's ready for the moment. So I'm just excited to see him play with all of those guys and get a chance to be in that rotation, like I said. But I would love to see him play alongside Cade. I think that would be real really good to see him in that role.
All right, so I mean, we'll see what happens. JB Bickerstaff has spoken about at training camp that there are so many good players on this team that he has to try to figure out a rotation that he'll see. There's a lot of
Mhm.
spots open. We'll see if Daniss Jenkins is able to make it happen. He looked really good in the first preseason game. He looked really good in summer league. I really think Daniss deserves a chance. I think he's looked good every single chance he's gotten. And we'll see what happens. We got the second preseason game coming Thursday, where I'm sure he'll get another chance to showcase how well and or how much he's improved and why he deserves a chance to crack the Pistons rotation consistently. Jeremie, appreciate you coming on the podcast. If there's anywhere you want people to check you out, follow your work, or any of that stuff, you can let them know now.
You guys can follow me, Coach Hart 32 on Instagram, and also Coach Hart 32 on X. A lot of content on there, a lot of basketball content from me and Daniss from over the summer and what we've been doing. A lot of content from SMU. Obviously, I'm assistant coach at SMU, gearing up for our season in the ACC. So, yep, that's it.
We'll see if Daniss can crack this rotation, man. We're rooting for him. We'll hopefully
we appreciate you.
see another great game from him on Thursday. But we appreciate all of you guys making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Leave us a 5-star review, whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. In the comment section down below, let us know what you guys think is going to be the outcome for Daniss this year, how well he played, how you felt about him after the first game of the season, and will he crack the rotation this year? Let us know in the comment section down below. But until next time, I will see you guys later. Stay safe out there, and peace out, everybody.